me!
Episode 262.
You've got to throw some cold water on this situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now, so when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek, giving you the info you need to achieve mega nerd status. NetHeads.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will and Trent.
No one listens to the radio. I wasn't even listening. I was listening to podcasts. Podcasts are great. Radio's boring.
That's right, everybody. Welcome. Another edition of the Showist with the Moist. That's right. I don't know what that means, but it's a thing. Another edition of Hits. My name is Will.
And I'm Trent.
If you want to take part in the frightfully food time fun, you can one of many different ways. One of them is Twitter. Trent, tell them about that bad boy.
Well, you just use the hashtag NetHeads. Be like longtime listener, Venator 2000, friend of the program, Ash Williams, 5456. Just use the hashtag NetHeads. Hashtag NetHeads. Join the conversation, even if it's after the fact. You know, we would be like, hey, you dummies, this is what you forgot to talk about. You got this part wrong. Remember this, you dummies? Use the hashtag NetHeads.
Way to sell it on the positive upswing there, pal.
Yeah,
I like
that. Or to be like, oh my gosh, you dummies, I didn't even think about that. You're totally right.
Wow, yeah, you dummies is the takeaway I'm getting here. We're just somebody's dumb in the transaction, folks. I don't know who it is.
I think everyone's dumb.
I think it's probably me, to be honest. Also, if you want, you can attempt to use Skype. Good luck with that. NetHeads on air via Skype or YakBet9020 or 866-610 Will or blah blah yickety yah. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. We are amidst the end of the Ragnarok weekend, Trent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The weekend has been, by all reports, apparently Ragnarokin for sure.
The end of all things, Ragnarok.
Yeah, but not necessarily. Although, I gotta tell you, quite the amusing Marvel flick, isn't it?
Oh yes.
Yeah, I'm not. Gonna,
yes,
I'm
they've.
Not...
It is the perfect. It is the Marvel equation. I'll say that.
That's one way to put it. It's the Marvel equation. It's Marvel. It's all marveled out, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
Also, what else has gone on? I guess the iPhone X has been out in the wild now.
Yes.
It's been released. Interesting story. I know somebody whose father was getting an iPhone X. I did not, nor would I. And after he purchased the largest capacity one and got the Apple Care and everything else, $1,500 out the door.
Oh, ouch.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that a down payment on a car? I mean,
that is a really nice laptop computer.
Yeah, right? Why?
Or an amazing desktop computer.
Why? Why would you do that for the thing that is your least functional electronic device? I mean, honestly speaking.
For something that can fall in the toilet.
Oh, good point. I didn't even think about that.
That for me, that's always my biggest fear of mobile devices is we spend so much money on them. And we still treat them as if they're Motorola Razors or Nokia bricks.
Well, now they're starting to I think all of the phones since the iPhone 7 or the iPhone 7 Plus, since that they've all been like dust and water resistant. So
right, yes.
You can go ahead and accidentally pee on it, Trent, and then you can cry like a little girl as you carry it over to the sink and then run a little more fresh water over it and hope that got all of the pee away.
And then for safe measure, drop it in a bowl of rice for a couple of days.
And then a bowl of alcohol, just to play it safe.
Just to make sure. We don't know what's going to happen. The alcohol's going to evaporate faster anyway.
Yeah, that's the well, that's the point. I think that's pretty much all that. I think contact cleaner, when you use it in a canned form, as I recently did, I think that too is something that, although it is a chemical cleaning solvent, it has a, just like alcohol, or alcohol is
Yep.
heavily involved in there. It has a very low evaporative temperature, so it
Yep.
goes away quickly.
Exactly. No, you're exactly right. Yeah. And gasoline too. That's why I bathe in gasoline all the time, because I don't want to get mold on in my crevices,
Oh well, I
in
hadn't.
my folds.
I hadn't even thought that that was an option that was available
Yeah.
to people.
Well, it's actually it's. I'm pretty sure it's illegal because it all goes down the drain in my tub. But you know what? My folds have never been cleaner.
Yeah, but also conversely, they've never been quite as flammable as well.
That's true. That's true. I have to make sure to walk bow-legged, because the friction between my thighs would just ignite, and it would be a definite problem. Whole new.
Well, that just sounds awkward and uncomfortable. Oh my goodness. Oh, Trent's window went away. That's okay. That's all right. We can do this and slip that over there, and then see if we can get him. I'm just gonna slip this over here, Trent. Don't mind me. Don't mind me slipping.
Fool me once, shame on you. When I've heard that before. Just noticing how awfully disgusting and just maltreated my background is. Just my room is just a mess down here.
Oh, maybe some of it's creeping into the audio because you're like choppy. You sound like you're like as though your audio was being transmitted through the rear bicycle wheel with some baseball cards put in between the spokes, so you could get that motorcycle noise going.
Yeah, that is one of my, I never did that as a kid.
This is vocal fry to a new level. Is that what it's called? Vocal fry? It's a trend amongst I don't know if it's amongst millennials or what, but they kind of talk like this, and then they sing, and then and it's like it's at a low level, and it's kind of a grumbly sound, if you will.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Well, that's what your voice is doing all over the place right now. So we got that going for us. So that's really nice.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. That's one of those things that you have no responsibility from it, Trent.
No.
It's not like it's something you're doing. But that's okay. The one thing that I will say, because you did bring up what your background is looking like, I gotta say, there is a reason why there is a very finite framed amount of space going on behind me that's tightly decorated.
And you're smart about it too, because you got, it's dark.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm keeping it low key, so that way you really can't take note of everything. Because I'll tell you, it is quite literally a disaster all around. First of all, those nice pieces of plastic you can put down on the ground in order to have underneath your office chair, and a pad to keep...
Yes. Yeah, the hard plastic. I thought you were going all Dexter on me, and the pieces of plastic down, so when you dismember someone, like, the DNA doesn't get soaked into the rug.
No, not a Dexter style kill room. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah.
No, I'm just talking about the kind of things, I guess, where you're looking to preserve the carpet underneath the rolling chair. And I got to tell you, unfortunately I have one of those, and I guess I got the wrong kind, or you can't really use it in a spot where you have carpeting, because this thing's got two monstrous holes, and quite literally I think I'm stuck right now. I don't think I can get out of
where it gets, it drops down in the hole of your chair does.
Yeah, it's now down in the hole, and the plastic is bent all which ways, so it's just like gripping it in there. So, it, like, send help when my family finally hears this, I guess is what I'm saying. Because I can't get out of the desk now.
Yeah, you're stuck. This is your life now.
So I got that. This is me from here on in. This is it. I'm going to have to figure out how to deal with it when I soil myself, and I just don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Do you have a bucket in here?
No. I have various coffee mugs, though. I guess we could sparse it out.
I was going to say, just be judicial in your use.
I guess this is one wrong time to start drinking 4 cups of water. Oh well.
Yeah,
these things happen. Anyway, so it has been a really big weekend, kind of like tech wise, from the standpoint of the new iPhone X coming out. And I don't know though, I just feel like I'm not going to be spending a lot of movie. I'm not going to be spending a lot on a. Sorry, I don't know why I said movie. I'm not going to be spending a lot when it comes to. Why am I completely derailing here? It's like I fell into like a just a.
You fell into the hole.
I fell into
that is underneath you.
my chair. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
it's like between your audio and everything else. It's just. Once again, podcaster apologizes for the quality of sound of his show. I literally, in order to avoid talking about this, which now too late, I've opened the door, Trent. I've got like 4 different ground loop suppressors in line.
Yeah.
Different places throughout the studio, because no matter what I do, I've got some ground loop issues going on.
Sure.
And when that happens, you just get a horrible whine no matter what. Like you've probably been hearing one, and you haven't been telling me now for a few weeks.
No, it sounds great to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because from my end, it's just a freaking terrifying mess. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
I apologize.
Oh, God, this is so horrific right now. Trent, I don't know how to tell you this. Actually, I don't
Should
even
I
know.
call back?
No. You're fine now. I just don't think that we're, I'm not sure we're getting audio from the caller PC.
Oh.
What? Oh, there he is.
Coming in?
You are now.
You are. It's just a little terrifying for me because, Trent, you can't see it, but it's Al, previously known as Alan Youngstown, but he's running video. I can see him. You can't. You can keep looking at the screen as closely as you want, Trent. He's not going to show up.
I know. I'm like squinting. I'm like, I swear he's not there.
No, you can't see him, but I can. Hey, Al, how you doing, man?
Great. How are you?
Oh, wonderful. Is this? I'm starting to, Trent. I'm just worried now that we're going to start getting people that are like wanting to audition to sit in for your role. So now they're like showing how they can do video and and how.
Pretty sure.
Listen to Al's audio. It's like, hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
And everything will go fine until he pulls like a chatterbait, and it's just like, oh, I didn't want to see that.
No, well, that's stuff I completely forgot about.
I don't have the body for that, but believe me, if I could make money with it, you know I would.
No, I didn't mean. That's gross, sir. I didn't mean that way though. I just meant like sitting in on the show, but. Thanks for taking it to the cam level. I appreciate it. Anyway, Al, how you doing, man? What's going on? What brings you on the line today? And why does your headset have red lights on it? More importantly,
I don't know. They were a gift and they're expensive, so I should probably put them away.
No, I don't think so. Because can you believe he's just using like I think it's a gamer headset in this case, Trent.
Well, sometimes those gamer headsets, they've gone a lot in the past 10 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Listen to him. You could almost co-host a show with this guy using this rig. How much useless crap is between our voices and our PCs? In our case, I mean, you just added a new sound interface in.
Well, I just streamlined. I'm no longer using a mixer
at all. Wow.
At all.
Oh, hold on. We got to come back to that. Because there are also people wanting to know exactly what a ground loop is, and we'll come back to that as well.
Sure. Yeah.
But Al, anyway, thank you very much for giving us a call. Greatly appreciate it. Was there a specific topic you wanted to address?
Well, I went out to go see our Lord and Savior, Kevin Smith, live in Philadelphia this weekend.
Yes, the Philly show.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about Hollywood Babylon or one of the Q&As?
One of the Q&As. I could not get off of work for the Hollywood Babylon, unfortunately, but it was still fun.
Well, that's good. Well, his Q&A shows are fun as well, if for no other reason, just because it's just like it's an amazing sit down of like 90 minutes of a near inspirational quality stories, in my opinion.
Of 3, maybe 4 stories.
Yeah, that too.
I went to the second show, so it was closer to 2.5 hours.
And was that? And how many?
That's smart.
And how many questions were asked at the Q&A?
7 at most.
Oh wow, that's
wow,
high. That's a high average.
Yeah.
They snuck in like 3 or 4 quick ones right at the end, but
sure.
What took up a big chunk of the night in the stories I had never heard before, because I had heard a lot of what he led in with. Some of the him and Jen stories, him and Harley. If you're a regular fan, you kind of know a lot of this
Yeah.
stuff. But then someone else asked him about some George Carlin history, and he went on a deep dive into hooking up with George Carlin just before Dogma, his relationship with him in between Dogma and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and just absolutely lovely. And I was on my third drink out of the 2-drink minimum, so it was just a great night.
Well, that's good, man. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Always love hearing people getting to have a good time. I know that I've been looking forward to the Philly shows for Hollywood Babylon as well. So.
Oh, they're always a treat.
Well, you know, it's Ralph back in his hometown element.
Yep.
And...
Despite being a Flyers fan, he knows his audience, and he does play to them well there.
Well, as well he should, because he's one of the main reasons why they're there, right? I mean,
he is the reason he's there.
It's not as though Kev's a stranger to the town. He filmed Jersey Girl and a couple of other things there. He let off with the story about his father, who they spent a lot of time in Philly together.
Oh, see? So good time spent overall, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
especially where, Red Bank is kind of that mid-southern Jersey side. It's just across the river over there.
I did not get the opportunity to get any cheesesteaks, though.
Well, priorities. Look, you laugh, Trent, but like seriously, even when the only thing I've done in relation to the city of Chicago is being in the airport. And yeah, I ordered Chicago-style pizza in the airport just so I could say I had Chicago-style pizza in Chicago. It doesn't matter what the quality was at that point.
So that's like me going to the San Francisco airport and making sure I had some sourdough bread.
Exactly. Yes, it's right on point.
Sure.
So he didn't get the cheesesteak, which sucks. But hey, at least you got the experience. That's what's important. At least that's my takeaway. Now, let me ask you this question. Kind of converging some topics we've kind of already hit on. But I want to get Al's perspective on this one too, because it's been a weird thing to see happen. So one of the things I have is I have a few alerts. God, this is going to sound stalkerish, but I have a few alerts set up, and one of them is like a Kevin Smith alert. So it's Kevin Smith in the news, so I can know what kind of news is coming and going. It's absolutely positively for business reasons. I can justify it 100 times. Still sounds creepy as shit. So one of them was a Variety. Was it a Variety article? Or article in Variety or Vanity Fair? It was one or the other.
Vanity Fair, I think.
And it's like his name was mentioned, and I noticed it was in reference to a Thor article. And I'm like, oh, well, they just dropped their review. Could it be related to that? And instead, it was something else. It was Chris Hemsworth, Thor himself, name-dropping Kevin Smith, saying he had been listening to him on a podcast and had heard him like trashing, I think, the first Thor movies. And they're like,
which is really weird to me because it is so rare to hear Kevin Smith trash anything these days.
Yeah, and in
positive.
retrospect, yeah, I don't. If I remember correctly, it wasn't a trashing. It was what would have been awesome, or you know what I would do. And then kind of explicating after that.
I'll take your word for it, sir. I don't even remember, because generally Al brings up a very good point that in general, if he doesn't have something nice to say, Kevin won't say anything at all, and it's true.
Yeah, just let it go.
Yeah, but I think you're right. It was more in lines with, you could have done this or you could have done that, or they could have had a little more fun with it. And it's true. It's this is one of those things where they were taking Thor in an interesting direction, but I think it was even that same Vanity Fair article that says that it was really important for Marvel at the time in Age of Ultron for Thor to have his little cave vision about the Infinity Stones. And then you could tell that creatively speaking, they went in a new direction, because I think that's like something that's written off as in a piece of dialogue within the first 2 minutes of the movie, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I went looking for some Infinity Stones and found one or two of them. Now I'm back.
Well, and it's interesting too because we don't know exactly how he ends up in that where he's at in that first scene, but he does say he followed a path of death and destruction, which led him there. Now, if there's and then at the very end of the film, we see something that he comes up to, and you're like, oh, perhaps that was the path he was following of death and destruction. I don't know.
Oh, wow. I have no idea what you're talking about. But
Thanos. I just don't know if he was
gotcha. No,
following the Thanos thread prior.
Good point. Very good point. Especially since it seems like Hela has become the goddess of death in the story. But you know what? Let's not get into Thor spoilers. That wasn't my point, and that's not what I meant. It was just this amazing name drop of Chris Hemsworth mentioning this, and not only that, but in some ways, like Kevin Smith having enough of geek cred to where he's getting like ID'd in a positive manner for something he said and affecting change on this story, which ironically before this one was published, just great reviews from he and Mark in regards to the Thor movie, right? So
from everything I've heard,
and I'm not surprised either, because I got to take in What We Do in the Shadows, which is the director.
Yes.
I don't know how to pronounce his name. Trent, do you?
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi. He this was an amazing like documentary footage movie about.
Oh, it's so good. Which is getting a sequel now.
Yeah, which I'm excited to hear about. But it's this basically it's an apartment of vampires all sharing a flat, and it's the story that evolves. And that sounds stupid, but it's played very, very well. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole story. It was great, and now from what I've learned of Thor Ragnarok, I can see some of the takeaways that even that kind of sets up, because there's a lot of that just very improvisational humor that just kind of feels like it's littered between us. Just between everything,
especially the director's own dialogue as he's playing Korg,
which is the big rock dude, right?
Exactly, yeah. Which was a creation of Greg Pak in the original World War Hulk, and then they went back and retroactively said, "Oh, well, he's a Cronin," and we first saw Cronin in this episode or this issue of Thor when the Cronins invaded Earth, blah 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 blah. But yeah, it was a great way to blend both stories of World War Hulk and the classic Ragnarok story.
By the way, hopping back to the point that was originally made at hand, Al, what was your reaction to seeing that Kevin Smith name drop within the Vanity Fair article?
My reaction was meaningless and trite. Kevin's reaction on stage was joyous and happy.
Oh yeah, what did he talk about on because he brought this up on stage?
He pulled out his phone and he gushed about it, and he did his usual rant on how he's happy to be alive in this time and day and age that we are bespoiled with comic book movies, and that Chris Hemsworth knows his name. He feels famous.
Dude, I felt the exact same way for him. It's like, oh my God, dude, Thor knows who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's that's a moment. That's a moment and a half when you get to have, something. There may be a very small part of Joss Whedon's memory that may remember me as that annoying prick that knew about the spoilers for the final episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I may still be in his mind somewhere as Will, that fucking spoiler guy, which I am willing to accept because it means I'm still within Joss Whedon's brain. Right? I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Totally. He sits in the dark and wonders, whatever happened to that guy?
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what, he's sitting in the dark wondering whatever happened to me. That's what
True. It's a paradox.
Anyway, Al, did you get a chance to Ragnarok?
I did not. Are we past the point of talking about Stranger Things spoilers, though?
I don't know, because that's
I just finished episode 6.
Oh, look at that. So you are getting into... Wait, are you in the second season, though, Trent?
Yes, of the second season.
See, this is the confusing thing now with the whole Netflix model, because you got to find out what season people are in. Because people could just be like, oh, well, I just figured I'll finally watch it. So now they're actually finally watching season 1. Excuse me, because I don't think I watched the first season of Stranger Things until probably closer to the fall, which really worked in my favor in viewing it and in kind of enjoying the content.
Yeah, I was the same way too.
But I remember when it dropped. It must have dropped earlier in the year, like April or May, because you were seeing lots of election-related joke memes involving the Christmas light alphabet wall kind of thing. You'd see a lot of that, and I didn't know to put 2 and 2 together there. But I did finally see it, and I was blown away, and I thought it was great. And now what Al's referring to is that Stranger Things Season 2 dropped the 27th of October, so just enough time for you to be able to lose all of the sleep that you'll need on the weekend before Halloween, so that's good. And some people did that. Are you going to ask me if I had seen them all by the weekend's end, Trent? Maybe. It's a possibility. It's amazing how you can squeeze in like 30 minutes of viewing time here and there, is all I'm going to say. Especially when you have a stupid iPad from the AT&T store that you shouldn't have picked up,
But as we established last week, it was such a good deal, you couldn't afford not to.
Exactly, man. It would be like throwing money away in one big lump instead of slowly letting it bleed away like I'm going to now.
Exactly.
But I will say that without being spoilerish at all, I think there are certain elements of the second season of Stranger Things that are a natural extension of the first season. And so I like the things, creatively speaking, that I see that they're doing with the second season, because it wasn't like, well, now we got to make up some new shit. No, they literally said, okay, well, what could be the additional problems that could be happening?
From this, sure.
And that's where we see it from the get-go. I gotta say that I saw it once, but it's definitely one of those things now where you have to go back and rewatch it, because I had to do that like this past week with The Flash, because I wasn't catching some of the finer details, like the fact that Cisco was wearing a T-shirt that said hashtag and then the actual word for what the hashtag or number symbol is. So it was hashtag and that thing, so it would be like hashtag. So
right,
it's a redundant logical loop or something ultra hip and clever kind of thing. You know, like
tomato.
Exactly. That's where I was going with it. So anyway, well, I'm sorry you didn't get to Ragnarok, Al. Hopefully you'll be able to Ragnarok next weekend. Or
probably
by
next
next
weekend, yeah.
There we go. Yeah, well, it's nice to give yourself some rewards. Set some short-term goals this week for yourself to achieve, and as long as you achieve those goals, then you can reward yourself with the Ragnarok at the end.
Well, I'm already rewarded. I'm coming off of a weekend getaway.
Oh,
it's
well, there
true.
you go.
I was gonna say, like, you had interstate travel for this weekend.
Why do you know?
Yeah.
Why do you wait? Hold on. Why do you know so much about what's going on in Al's life, dude?
Well, just because he's Al in Youngstown.
And Youngstown is in a different state than Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Stands to reason.
So he would have had to have gone east and a little south to get there.
I still don't know why you know that he has been doing anything.
Well, he's Al in Youngstown.
What have I been doing for the past 5 days, Trent?
Well, I know you didn't go see Kevin Smith.
Very good point. I could venture the same guess for you. It's like, well,
exactly. So there was no interstate travel for me.
I'm sorry, Al. I don't know what happened. I was just
good.
trying to clarify a point, and suddenly I'm the asshole. Whatever. Okay, pal. Okay, buddy boy. Anyway, Al, anything else before we say goodbye for the night?
No, that's about everything I wanted to hit on. You guys rock on.
Hey,
have a good night.
You too, sir. Really appreciate you reaching out, and I'm glad that I happened to look at the furthest computer to my left to know that you were there, because honestly, I would have very easily missed the call, and I wouldn't want to hurt any feelings because it wouldn't have been intentional at all.
That's cool.
Really appreciate hearing from you, and hopefully we can all talk about Ragnarok next weekend.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, sir. Thank you very much.
See you, Al. One
easy.
love.
Take
One
it
love.
easy. We also got to come up with a way to be able to display other people's video now when they're. See, it's
True.
always the
Yeah.
next freaking thing, Trent. First it's okay. Well, let's find out the best way to integrate Trent in. Now suddenly it's like, okay, well now how are we gonna show? If a caller calls in via video, how are we gonna do that? And then it's like, oh, next thing you know, it's like, well, we got to bring in more phone lines, and then
Yeah.
it's like. Then we got to start pushing the T-shirts more. We're not selling enough T-shirts.
I know.
And
I
what
know.
about
It's
the
just
hats?
it's one thing after another, and then we've got to make sure that we're getting better on-read ads, which I don't think is possible because you know what, Will?
No.
I don't think we could ever have a better read than those from the good folks at.
Are you trying to say Loot Crate? Oh, I see.
I'm trying to set you up for the ad read.
Oh, wow, man. Here I was just complaining about everybody else. And then, look at that. I just totally dropped the ball. I knew it the whole time.
Yeah.
Trent,
You knew.
I got to tell you, speaking of Stranger Things and speaking of Loot Crate, the last Loot Crate was like mythical or epic. I don't know what it was. But let me tell you the stuff that came in it. This one I love. It's a cute little kind of manga or such and such stylized
that's
11
fun.
and the what is it called? The Demogorgon. It's that pivotal scene where she ends up banishing him. Isn't that? But
Yeah,
isn't
in
it,
the school.
Isn't it adorable? Look at that.
Yes.
This
yes.
last crate was really cool. It had that, and it had like 2 other things that I really like. Oh, and also the T-shirt. They always have a T-shirt. Really cool. It was Ghostbusters, but they also stylized it with a little more 80s flair. And my wife saw it, and I tell you what, she stole it like that. Boom.
Your wife.
My wife took my shirt. Take my wife, please.
There's nothing I love more than bad Borat impressions.
And they did. My wife.
My wife.
Anyway, the coolest thing about Loot Crate is it's the best gift you know is coming, folks. Whether you're gifting it to somebody else and you're getting it for yourself, they got all kinds of different crates too. They got specialized crates. If you're more of a fashionable fashionista, they got Loot Wear. You like bigger stuff, they got Loot Crate DX. If you want to get fancy things for your little furries, then they got Loot Pets. They got all these amazing things. So just remember, every month, that month's theme expires the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific time. So you'll always want to get your order in. And where can you do that? Real simple. Go to NetHeads. Or nope, don't do that. Where you want to do is you want to go to lootcrate.com/NetHeads. Get $3 off any subscription. Loot Crate, just treat yourself. Get yourself something nice. Get yourself the Loot Crate. lootcrate.com/NetHeads. Get it for yourself. Get it for a friend. Just get it because you'll thank me for it. I promise, because I look forward to my crate every single month, and someone you know or you will too. There, that would have been really smooth and cool if I had like picked up right when you pitched it to me.
Dude,
it was like
it's all good.
Not really. See, that's where you can tell one of us at least played some level of sports in high school, because you were like,
setting it up.
Here we go. Now we're going to pitch the ball over to Wilkins and fumble.
But one thing I do want to add,
Yeah.
If you want to be the coolest cat, whether it be in the office or as an uncle or whatever, giving the gift of Loot Crate for Christmas. Come on, it's the gift that keeps on giving year round.
Very true. Very true. I always look forward to it. Got the holidays coming up as well.
Yep.
It's one of those great gifts. Just you give it and you get to know you bring some joy in somebody's life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And who doesn't want that?
Me, I don't want joy in my life.
No, just those sadists.
Look, when she was working and receiving, we just didn't get along, all right? So I don't want joy in my life.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, Joy, and when I was working with, when I was dealing with Joy, she was taking care of all my travel authorization forms. So I'm happy with Joy.
There you go. Well, that's well. I'm glad to hear that, sir. I'm very glad to hear that. Anyway, so Trent, I think we've made it very clear, and I'm not going to give you any grief over the fact that it took you months and months to see Spider-Man, but you've
Yeah.
already seen the Ragnarok. So,
Yes.
so I do have to ask the one inevitable question: have you at least seen Spider-Man: Homecoming yet?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you did decide I can't Ragnarok without seeing my Spider-Man
exactly.
Homecome,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What did you think of the Homecoming?
Loved it. It was great. It made me sad, however, in that seeing the beautiful collaboration between Disney Studios and Sony, knowing that one of my favorite Marvel properties will never benefit from such collaborative efforts.
You mean like the Fantastic Four?
That's exactly what I mean.
Wow,
Yep.
look at that. You know, that's how you can tell we've been friends for a long time, Trent, because I knew exactly where you were going.
It's true though. Like we live in this world where everyone can play in the sandbox and everyone has a good time and everyone can make money in it. But for some reason, people are worried about giving an inch. So instead, we don't get any
Whereas
Fantastic Four.
Whereas Sony is just like, look at this, guys. We do none of the work. We're getting nothing but money. It's gravy just on top of gravy. It's like cheese on top of gravy on top of cheese on top of gravy is what it's like.
It kills me, especially after watching Ragnarok and seeing like these beautiful space scenes. Same thing with Guardians too. Like they've got it dialed in as far as visual effects and everything goes. And I just want to see that, and I want to see a Silver Surfer movie done well, and Marvel's the one to do it. But anyway, Spider-Man. They did it right. They did it perfectly. I love the blending of the two of Ultimate Spider-Man, Marvel Comics Ultimate Spider-Man, and then just the regular Amazing Spider-Man. Kind of being able to pick and choose from all the different parts to give us something contemporary.
And you notice they did give us little tidbits of Miles Morales, because it's like, well, his uncle, the Prowler, is played by Donald Glover.
Don Glover, yeah.
And the whole thing about that movie, I think, like I said, it really sets us up for the experience the exact same way that he kind of has it. They really do take that one mantra that Stanley said, that where anyone could be under the mask, right? Anyone could be Spider-Man. And they kind of do that because they give us this silly little video that Peter Parker puts together, and then it's suddenly like, and there's one moment where you can tell Stark is setting him up for, okay, now I'm going to tell the kids something. I need a minute with him. And they instantly cut to Peter's reaction. They don't even let us see that moment.
Exactly.
Because they're able to then spring it on us the same way that news was kind of to him. And it really puts us in Peter's shoes, even as the audience. So when it came down to like setting me up just from the get-go, at that point I'm like, oh, I'm gonna love this movie. I'm gonna love it, and I'm gonna watch it so much. My wife, within a very short amount of time, is gonna ask me if I'm sick of it yet. And I'm telling you, Trent, yesterday was that day. That was the day she asked me. Yes.
And what was your response?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. So the day in which you respond, yes, that may never come. We don't know.
And I think they did a very great job of structuring the story in a way that made the big reveal at the end so logical and so obvious, in the fact that they did their best to completely separate those worlds.
Yes.
It just threw me for a loop. But the other thing that I love are the ways that, upon seeing it more and more, I get a little more out of the experience that I was set up on. Like, for example, when there's this big confrontation scene between Peter Parker and the Vulture in a car, right? There's this entire dialogue that happens, and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, Peter's going up to this door now, deciding what he's going to do. But it turns out later, because the way you experience this movie is almost kind of in a similar way to some of the characters.
Right.
He sets us up for this. And so in my mind, he's walking through the doors and I'm thinking, he's got to make this decision. But nah, he's already made the decision, because the moment he starts going out into the fields, he's like, track my phone, because he's already left it in the car.
Yep.
So it was just like that kind of even being able to redefine itself while I was watching it. Just gave me a lot of great feelings. It was just a really, like I said, the movie was so. They did such a great balance of Peter Parker to Spider-Man scenes that I was enduring an exceptionally hot movie theater, and I was not moving.
Well, and they did, in my opinion, they did a good job of my biggest problem with the second iteration with, and I forget the actor's name, of Spider-Man, was that Peter Parker was. Yes, Andrew Garfield. Peter Parker was too cool. Like a guy with as much moxie and charisma and swagger that Peter Parker had would have no need to be a Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
He could already be an underwear model, and
yeah. Totally, he would be exactly. He would be more like a Tony Stark protege at that point. Whereas the Peter Parker has always needed the mask to make up for the all the insecurities that he has as Peter Parker. That's why he can talk to girls as Spider-Man, but not as Peter Parker. That's why his life is chaotic as Peter Parker, but he can pull things together as Spider-Man. It gives him that boost of self-confidence that he normally doesn't have. And I think they did a good job this time around of showing that, like, he's just a kid figuring things out, and this is a shot in the arm of what he's going through.
Just little nuances too, Trent. Like when they're doing the sit-up things. And when the gym teacher comes through and he's like, looking good, Parker. Suddenly he starts to slow down and he winces a little.
Yes,
because he's like,
exactly.
oops, I'm doing a little more good than I should be doing.
Exactly. I mean, that's a throwback to like very early Ditko and Lee Spider-Man stories when he's gonna box Flash and Flash Thompson, and you see the dialogue in his brain saying, well, I'm gonna have to pull my punches, otherwise people will figure out like that I'm more than I'm letting on. And that's the kind of stuff that Peter Parker actually has to go through. Peter Parker would never dunk a basketball ever, like which he did in the Garfield series.
Yeah, it's definitely a different. The thing that I like too that they did in the Marvel movie is that instead of just going to some regular high school, he's going to some specialized tech school that clearly he's gotten in on some type of grant or whatever based on his obvious academic proficiency instead of just a regular high school. So now it makes a little more sense why he can be a little more quirky and a little more advanced. But then the other thing too that there's been a lot of chatter about that I like about the way they may be going with the Marvel stories is the fact that basically they're setting Peter Parker up to be Tony Stark 2.0.
Right. Yes, which makes a lot of sense because that's kind of the route they've gone currently with the comic books. Coming in after the Superior Spider-Man, where Dr. Octavius had set up this whole tech empire that he's now over, and we see him going out and fighting crime along with Spider-Man, a nod to the original Iron Man, where Tony Stark's bodyguard was the Iron Man, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they do go in that direction, but at least it makes sense when you look at all the things that obviously Peter Parker can do. I love that they show him sneaking, working on his web fluid in class. And the funniest part is, like, he has an experiment go bad, and you're thinking, oh my God, he just can't leave that. But hey, in 2 hours, it's going to dissolve anyway.
It'll just dissolve anyway, exactly.
So by the time anyone finds it, it's just going to be an empty beaker. Little things just making it very, I don't know, they were little, it was just so almost Leave It to Beaver, Back to the Future kind of 50s in a way with how cute it tells its story. But also, I don't know. I just found it's so refreshing to I think either Kevin or Mark described it best, where he's the Charlie Brown of the Marvel universe, because he's always trying to do something and just never quite getting it right.
Yes, exactly. And for me, that's the Peter Parker part, right? And that's the beauty of Marvel, is their story is the character behind the mask. Like we said, anyone can don the mask, but it's whoever's behind it that makes them unique.
Yeah, definitely. And it's what makes them special. Not really. It's the person they are inside the mask that makes them special. But
Right.
I have to say that car scene near the end was so amazing, because I think Mark Bernardin said it best. You've got 3 different actors, each of them in their own different movies. And the funniest thing is that it's naturally only the father of one of these other academic kids somebody that's within Parker's periphery, if you will,
Right.
that could put 2 and 2 together, because it's like, wait, the night of her party was the first time he showed up.
Yep.
And that was, if he just showed up, then wait a second. And just so many more coincidences. It's like, oh, well, he's also on decathlon. But, oh, you remember you went out. And it's just like one little thing after another. And at this point, Vulture is the only one that could really figure out, oh, my God, this kid is Spider-Man. Well, not to mention the hardcore not knowing how to look at him that Parker does when he first, it's that first reveal, which, by the way, that in itself was a marvelous misdirect, because they are taking us into the cutesy John Hughes underdog kid finally getting to go out with the cool girl movie.
Yep.
They're setting us up for that, and then next thing you know, the door opens and, oh, look, it's Tomes right there. It's This is not good. That's the Vulture. He's her dad. Oh my gosh. And I didn't see it because I'm racist. Right?
Aww.
Well, how else do you attribute not putting 2 and 2 together in that one, right? Come on.
Right, yeah.
So anyway, all that said, I'm glad to hear you enjoyed the movie. I really did.
Yeah.
Right down to the very final moment. Actually, the best part of it all really is the final post-credit scene in the movie, because it's only fitting that the Marvel completely trolled us with that.
Oh, for sure, dude. Like, and that's what I'm talking about. That's the fun part, to see these two giants of the industry come together to like give 100% fan service.
Yeah, it was really fun. However, I don't know. I could have done without that. At the time, it didn't help my life any bit, because, as I said, the movie theater was broiling hot, and Emily was dying to get out of there. And I'm like, no. There's another post-credit sequence, and then after it happens, she looks and goes, seriously, that's what I had to wait for? And I'm like, I have no words. I've got nothing. I can gain no credibility back here at all. It's just gone.
You're right.
It was me, and I'm a horrible human being. Never mind. All that said, you actually did get to see the Ragnarok this weekend.
I did. Yeah.
And what's your general feeling of the Ragnarok?
Yeah, I saw a lot of people say it was their favorite Marvel movie. It's not mine, but that doesn't mean I didn't love it, and I didn't think it was a ton of fun. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. Every time I see Mark Ruffalo, I can't help but thinking, oh man, I wish that was Ed Norton. I know he's notoriously hard, or at least supposedly hard to work with, and that's why he wasn't asked to come back, blah blah blah. I think he understood the Bruce Banner side of things better. At least my interpretation of Bruce Banner.
From what I hear, the interesting thing in this movie is it's actually far more Hulk than Banner that you get.
Definitely.
Like it's almost as though there's almost just an intermission of Banner between Hulks,
yes,
if you will.
Totally agreed. Yeah. But I think they beautifully were able to give a backstory for Hulk as to what was going on, and not make it a Hulk movie. Do you know what I mean?
That's one of the things. I don't know if you've caught it in the trades or the stories in the press in promoting the movie, which by the way, it seems to have paid off, because I know it exceeded the box office they were looking to hit. So it didn't slump and it didn't fail to deliver. But one of the things that where was I going with this? Banner.
What? That it's a Thor movie with Hulk in it.
Oh yeah. Feige was even saying that's one of the things they talked about. I think it may have been in that same Vanity Fair article too. That basically because of the way the Universal deal is for the rights on the Hulk can't have his own standalone movie again unless they're involved. But he can be an extra character. So now what's going to happen is basically I think this movie and then the next two Infinity War movies are going to be, there's going to be a B story that the Hulk is going to be traveling through. So in the subtext of those films are going to be this Hulk story that's going to be transpiring through all three. So
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So if they like dropped, because I know there's more Hulk being intelligent slightly, and this one being able to communicate. Right. And I think there was like some speculation about how much Banner is able to control being the Hulk or vice versa now.
Right. Yeah, which was a very pivotal point, of a hero's self-sacrifice for Banner within Thor Ragnarok. I don't think that's giving away any spoilers. It's great too, because I believe usually with and throughout the Incredible Hulk stories, there are different points at which the Hulk has different forms of it, or different abilities of intelligence. There are times when he's able, at least in the comic books, there have been times when he's been able to pull from Banner's memories and things that he knows. I like to think that in this, the longer that that Hulk is Hulk, the more he develops and the more his motor skills and social skills develop. And so that's why he was that for so long, that he was able to be more what's the term?
Cognizant?
Affluent? Thank you. Yes, not affluent. More.
He was the Hulk longer, so he got more money. I don't. What is that? What you're saying? That makes no sense, because that really ups the effects budget, So
less mal-educated.
Yeah, there you go. I just know that there is the feedback has been extremely positive, both in the press and in the Metacritics, as I like to call them, the people of the internet. Good ratings on the Tomatoes freshness meter thingamajig, and I'm glad to hear it, because honestly speaking, the first two Thor movies I just didn't really kind of connect with. That's not to say there's anything that was necessarily wrong with them. I was able to sit through them and I was able to be entertained by them. But then when it came down to it, I don't know. I just never really kind of had anything invested in the stories. Mainly, probably because it wasn't giving us enough insight into the one coolest part of the whole thing, which is Asgard and the whole, all the different battlefields and massive creatures and crazy shit, man.
Exactly. And that's why I feel like the second one did a little bit better than the others, because it was more based in Asgard. But I want a Thor film that, if it has to be a prequel or whatever, that's fine, that is just strictly fantasy. Do you know what I mean? That falls under a fantasy genre, and you've got him going around to different realms and fighting frost giants, and like going to like get armor from the dwarves, and like that's the kind of Thor I want to see. And I think you're exactly right. Like that's kind of what we all wanted, but whatevs.
And dude, how many heavy metal album covers can be derived from this movie?
Well, and at the same time, I think are homaged as well. Even down to the statue of the Grand Master, he's like holding the gun like this and standing, and there's the pretty lady like up around his leg, just like this. It was on top of it all, Mark Mothersbaugh, the founder of Devo, and current creative mind involved with Yo Gabba Gabba did the music for Ragnarok.
I did not know that. I did
So
not
that's
know
why,
that.
yeah, there's that very synth heavy feel to a lot of the scoring. Has a lot to do with that.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how we get from here to Infinity War, because that's it now. There's nothing between the two. You've just got Infinity War coming next. So, how is the war going to come, my friend? I mean, the question I'm dying to ask, because I think we were down to the point where there was still 2 unrevealed Infinity Stones. And did we see any new Infinity Stones at all in this one?
No, I don't think we saw anything new. We saw where a couple of them were, and who probably has possession of them right now, which makes me think, especially at the end of the film, if that is who I think it is that comes upon them, that would be the easy way for Thanos to get his last 2 missing Infinity Stones.
Well, I know that from the reports we're receiving about the San Diego Comic-Con trailer, and
right.
Which, by the way, I think was also something that was hinted at. Basically, if you want to see the Infinity War trailer, folks, odds are it's going to be at the beginning of The Last Jedi in theaters. That's where you're going to see it. But in that, what they showed, some of the footage that they said was present, is the fact that Thor basically lands on the front of the Milano. On the windshield, if you will, and they, and Rocket's like, scrape him off, get it off of there. So they find him. So somehow between where you leave him in Ragnarok and that, he is blown out and floating in space. Which, it's a good thing he's a god, because so far that makes him the only person that we know that can survive doing that. Well, aside from Ego, but he's gone now.
Yeah, right.
Poor Ego. We hardly knew you.
Yeah,
we hardly knew him, man.
Here's the thing, though. And I'm glad you brought up Guardians. I feel that as a story, the Guardians is a better story.
Oh, you mean
as opposed to Ragnarok?
Compared to the Ragnarok in it?
Yeah. As far as like, just as a story goes, and arc of character and this, that, and the other, I feel like. Yeah, Guardians 2 is the better story.
Here's what I'm predicting my reaction is going to be from Thor Ragnarok. It's going to be that, you know what? I think I'm gonna like it better than the first 2 Thor movies for sure, and I'm more than positive that when it comes right down to it, I'm probably gonna find it at the same comedy level of Ant-Man, with probably enough intergalacticness of it as the first episode of Guardians of the Galaxy, and just a level of brevity along the Ant-Man level that we didn't get from the previous Thor movies.
Of course, yeah, but without a doubt, hands down, the funniest Thor movie. There, no doubt about that. And I think, and I wonder, because there are a lot of almost like could be throwaway moments that you wonder if they weren't ad-libbed by the actors, that they're like, let's throw that in, let's keep it, let's roll with that.
Well, kind of like a preview clip I saw where, like, after basically the Hulk finally becomes Banner again, Thor just keeps making it's not a callback. He thinks he's trying to keep Banner calm, where he's saying, "Yeah, sun's looking kind of low. Don't worry, the sun's looking kind of low.
The sun is setting."
Yeah, it's like, why do you keep saying that?
There's a great it was when Mark Waid was doing a couple of years ago. He was doing a Incredible Hulk. It was the Indestructible Hulk, and they were basically, Shield was using the Hulk like a bomb, so they would send Banner into a hostile situation, hit Hulk out, and then they'd have to like calm him down to contain the bomb. And at one point, they have a truck full of puppies. that they dump on the Hulk to calm him down so that he'll back up. And so I just keep on hoping like someone's just gonna throw a puppy at him out of nowhere so he can just like, oh, puppy.
Oh my gosh, that is the most adorable thing I've ever heard of.
Oh, and it's great because it's like a dump truck full of puppies, and the Hulk is just like,
it's a Hulk load of puppies, Trent.
Oh man, I'll have to screenshot that and put it up on Twitter this week. It's a great panel.
Did they by the way, do you think they is that description accurate? Is it really just kind of like just a little flavoring of Banner before or between Hulk sessions, if you will?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it also gives a chance while he is Banner, it explains where he's been, how he got there, does develop the character of Banner / Hulk along the way. So yeah, it is. It's definitely a Thor movie, co-starring the Hulk.
It's a road picture. It's a buddy cop film. It's
yes.
It's a
totally.
It's a getting the gang back together that was never an original gang kind of thing.
Yeah, in fact, they even called themselves a team with a name at one point.
The Revengers. Well,
the Revengers.
I gotta say that I think it's nice that they kind of have these palate cleanser independent films, and I think it is good that they're realizing that you can break free now of the comic book movie mold as well. I mean, that's one of the things that Captain America, the Winter Soldier, really kind of brought to the table when they came to us. Like the first one was the first Captain America movie was a very period piece kind of film. I mean,
totally. It was.
Took a lot of influence from, kind of the
Rocketeer.
Yeah, exactly. Which was a previous work by the same director. But that's the kind of movie it was. But then with Winter Soldier, you had this almost serious spy espionage drama movie.
Yes.
And then the same Civil War was just like another Avengers movie. That's all I can really make out.
It was. It totally was. Yeah.
In many ways, I think somehow, and I don't know if it's possible based on when the films were released, but in some ways, I almost think it was an apology for Age of Ultron as well. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that seems to be shaping the rest of the world. Oh wait, you know what? I'm wrong. I am completely wrong. Before the Infinity War, we still got to go to Wakanda. Trent.
Yes. Yeah, that is the next one. Yeah. Yes. Yep.
So we got Black Panther coming out in like
Correct.
March or something. So
yes.
So okay, so I'm wrong. Thank goodness there is one more thing. But I think one of the things, I don't know what else could be important in Wakanda unless somehow they've got an Infinity Stone there too. Why are so many Infinity Stones on Earth? I don't understand what's going on.
Well, Earth is there is a cosmic draw, and that's why Earth has always been so important, and the Watcher is here, watching things because there is something cosmically central about the placing, especially of the Earth 616 placement in reality.
I used to really love watching the Cosmically Central channel. The comedy late at night would be a little bit better, a little uncensored. But, still, when Stephen Hawking goes on a bender, man, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Woo!
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, it's nice to see that they are able to break out of, like, the expectations. I think the only movie out of all the ones we've seen recently that I didn't really have much of a connection to or with after the Thor movies was probably Doctor Strange, because I think that was the first time they really didn't give us enough of a reason to actually care about the main character, because he starts out a prick and then his hands get screwed up and then he's more of a prick. So, it's like, why do I want to care that he may save all of mankind? Well, someone else may do it too. You know what I'm saying? Why do I have to completely throw it to Stephen Strange?
Yeah, I know. I agree with you on that one. I love that movie. It had its own set of problems, I think. But that said, moving forward, I really like what they're doing with Doctor Strange now.
I have to say, Trent, I know people usually say that everyone likes a little Strange, but
I see what you did there.
I hear that in the Thor movie they actually do a wonderful job using for a few brief moments Doctor Strange as well. So clearly there's been some time that has passed between his big showdown and accepting the position in New York and
Totally.
And now, because
Yes,
I hear there's a lot of hopping around.
there is.
Yeah.
There is, and here's the great thing though. Now bringing Doctor Strange into the fold, you now have you don't have to worry about getting places.
Oh, good point. Good point. Because now somebody
You know what I mean?
could be somewhere in an instant,
Totally. Yep.
or in a
exactly.
moment, or
Yeah. You don't run into the problem of the last season of Game of Thrones.
Oh my gosh! Right?
Which apparently Jon Snow can just get all the way around the world a couple of times in the time it takes one dead army to march like 2 miles.
Actually, if you want to equate it to anything, Trent, here's what it is. At the beginning of the season, we got to see Sam cleaning out all of the honeypots, if you will. And essentially what they've done now is they've taken out all the honeypot for us. The boring shit, the day-to-day stuff. That's like all of that has taken out. Look, it took them 6 days to get from here to there, and in the meantime everyone else was still trying to get from somewhere to somewhere else as well. So and we just didn't show you that because nobody wants to see every time somebody gets up to take a leak. This isn't Big Brother, this is Game of Thrones.
Sure.
Right? So that's just
exactly.
that's my hot take. It is amazing how fast they suddenly start getting around though because in the first few seasons it seemed like it took them forever to get places.
Well, and that's the funny part, right? It took the Targaryen army like 8 seasons to get one place.
Well, I mean, like, wasn't Arya Stark on the road for like 2 seasons when they were caravanting, or part of the caravan to Castle Black? I mean, that was like 2 seasons. Now suddenly it's like overnight they can get 6 leagues.
Yeah, you can get to the just whatever. It's fine.
Don't worry.
A wizard did it.
Pretty much. It'll be interesting to see how the final season of that shakes out as well, because it's kind of like, all right, so it's a hurry up to the finish line, and we are going to see what their rushed end game is, if you will. So,
correct.
But we're not here to talk about Game of Thrones. That's not my forte. Especially since some of that bigger thinking stuff about who's related to who and who did that, or we should have seen this coming because of what Maggie the Toad said somewhere back in season 3. I'm like, look, man.
Yeah.
I don't
leave that for Comic Book Girl 19. She's got a great series on it.
There you go. I guess so, because I don't have time to track all this shit. I don't need to know what the dragon has 3 heads. What? I don't know what you're saying. Don't let me.
Well, it's the sign of the Targaryens.
Yes, I know, and there were also the 3 dragons that she hatched, and I mean,
correct.
So does that mean there has to? And then now, anyway, never mind. See, you'll get lost in all the ins and outs of it. It is amazing how fast though they seem to have whittled it down to a few key characters in the final season compared to the past, where it's like I just can't keep track of all of these people. It's like no, they've had no issue with killing people off. Finally, let's clear the field a little.
Exactly. That's luckily that makes it a lot easier when everyone's dead.
Yeah, but part of the thing that you have to think about, like a wizard did it. Part of the thing that's kind of been happening now near the end of the season is a lot of things are being taken all on the word of the one kid that can't walk around. Yeah, he's just telling us all this stuff he saw. And like everyone's going along with this because, if I try and call in sick on a Monday, my boss is pretty sure, I've just got a case of I don't want to work Mondays, so I don't think that you're going to be able to kind of pull this kind of stuff. That's
unless you can, tell him some, show him your clairvoyancy, then yeah, you're probably right.
And then a wizard did it. That's it.
And then
So
a wizard.
that's why they're able to use this, because clearly he's able to see these details that now we need. So now
Exactly.
we must believe him. Boy, that sounds like a narrative we're kind of getting in the U.S. news now too. Never mind. This is all cutting a little too close to home now. It went from fun to just depressing now.
Getting real.
Yeah, a little too real. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for tuning in. Trent, was there anything you also wanted to discuss and plug before we wrap this bad boy up today?
Nope, I think we've done enough.
We've just to clarify on all the issues. Then Spider-Man: Homecoming, we definitely like that. Right?
Loved it.
Thor: Ragnarok, you definitely like that.
Loved it.
Okay, there we go. So things are trending in a good direction. What do you think
Yes.
about the additional Star Wars trailer that dropped this week?
Oh, which was we got a better close up of these different AT-ATs, which I'm very happy about.
The slouchy ones, the ones that they kind of have it looks like Kevin Smith called them fat hats because they're just kind of like lumping along, but it's because it looks like they have a high impact shock absorption front or something like that.
Yeah, in fact, there's that pan. I guess it's a tracking shot where it goes across the whole field of them walking, and you see they have these much thicker legs now, and whether it is an impact dampener or something that would I would assume a sort of stabilizer, in case like they get tied up, they can still stay up by some means, learning from their tripwire follies of the past. I don't know.
It's good to know some engineers paying attention. They're like, well, you remember when they got us with cables? Cables of all things, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Frederick, why didn't we know about the cables?
Why didn't we think of this?
Come on. Why didn't we think? Well, if something can walk, it can be tripped. Nobody thought of this, guys? Come on.
Why doesn't it just hover?
Exactly. Anyway, well, there you go. I like seeing Luke on the
Falcon.
In the Falcon again. That was nice. I think, as usual, these previews that we're seeing, they're doing once again just a wonderful job of not really giving us any information about the story in presenting us just little tidbits, which of course.
And that's fine.
It's the best way to go, as long as, and I got to tell you, Trent, I don't agree with this trend, and we got to stop it. You got to stop showing me shit in trailers that just doesn't make the final cut. Don't do it.
Well, and don't show me an F yeah moment in the trailer Thor Ragnarok for when the Hulk makes his debut. Don't make that a huge part of the trailer. There's enough in there to show without doing that.
Oh, so you're saying that the way that it's revealed in the movie, you think it would have been a little more beneficial if everyone had agreed, let's just leave the Hulk out of all the advertising, and this is the little gem that happens.
Yeah,
when it's
or
revealed.
have the Hulk put the Hulk in it, but not his reveal shot. Because the whole time you're just like, well, I've already seen this in the trailer, so I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, good point. So you're saying just in that one moment, it kind of took you out of the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I was still excited for it, but I can only imagine my response had I not seen it coming right then. Or had I not already seen it on a commercial.
Completely understand, man. I completely understand.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to hear you dig the Ragnarok. I'm glad to hear, I think they're giving us just enough in the Star Wars to enjoy it. Hopefully, again, they don't show us anything that isn't in the final cut at this point. But, they're probably cutting that bad boy right down to the wire again, just like last time,
for sure.
didn't they?
For sure, yeah.
And I got a tickle I can't get rid of. Anyway, folks, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Greatly appreciated. If you want to follow Trent on Twitter, he is, what are you? You are at a part of him.
Yep.
I'm Nethead WW. The show's Netheads on air. And until next time, we'll be back
soon.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. Signing off.
I know, right? But stop being a little Nancy and deal with it.
NetHeads.
NetHeads.
We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a production of Smodco Internet Radio. Sir, only at smodcast.com.
I always love when we're just trying to do something simple, like wrap up the show, and then next thing you know, you get that tickle in the back of your throat. Doesn't matter what you throw on top of it, it just won't go away. What causes that, Trent? Do you know?
Yeah, well, it's usually a dick.
Oh, I don't think one of those is in play unless I'm not understanding what you're trying to tell me right now.
Just saying.
Oh, you wascally wabbit, you. You're a bad boy.